In this interview, we are going to be learning and getting to know Bob Wen. Now, I am super excited for this interview because Bob is one of the people that just has so much information, so much knowledge about the world of Atlassian, and they love to share this information. Bob is also a world-renowned author, and I highly encourage that you check out his book. Link is going to be down in the description down below. I do hope that you enjoy this interview as much as I did. Are you tired of struggling to present your data in a clear and visually compelling way within Jira? Look no further. Introducing custom charts for Jira by our good friends over at Old Street Solutions. They provide the ultimate solution for powerful and customizable data visualization within Jira. Old Street Solution is the official sponsor for our Thursday Atlassian community member interviews. Use the link in the description down below to start a free trial of custom charts for Jira today. Hey everyone, welcome to another interview. Today we're going to be talking with Robert Wen, and I met this person at Team. He was one of those individuals that came up to me and just said hi, and I'm like, "Do I know you?" And I'm like, and he's like, "Well, I know you." And Bob, thank you again for agreeing to jump on the show here, for wanting to be a part of this effort here of these Atlassian community member interviews. I'm
Of
really,
course.
really excited to have you and excited to jump into these questions. So,
It's
without any
it's a
further
pleasure to
ado,
be here. It's great. Like I said, it's almost like meeting, Atlassian internet royalty. And so when
right?
Atlassian internet royalty says, "Hey, do you want to come upon and do a thing?" What other answer is there but sure.
I think I'm in the royalty presence of you because we are talking with our former, current reigning champion of the Ace Wiz Quiz, right?
You mean this
Yes.
little crown thing that I have here? I just happen to be at the end of a long, grueling internet trivia contest there. So and yes, it's started. It's and season 2 is just now starting to heat up. So
Yeah, no, I saw that you and Rodney. I was like, should I watch some of these just so I can kind of prep or not? And I'm like, no, let me go see how big the competition is here.
this is one of those that is put on by the ACE over in Delhi and Gujarat, Sajit and Sarika over there, along with Delhi. And they put on quite the big thing last year. And this year it's even bigger. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, I had Sajid already. So by the time this one goes out, his would have already come out. So we're definitely underway with him, and we had a chance to talk to him. So, anyways, so let's just jump into this one. I've heard Rodney call you Bob. You say Robert. Which one would you prefer? I don't want to call you the wrong one.
So that's probably one of the most common questions I've heard. I really don't care. Call me
Okay.
Robert, call me Bob, just don't call me late for dinner, that sort of thing, right? I'll answer either one.
By the
So
way, I just love your attitude when I'm watching these quizzes. Right, we're as like IT folk that we are, technical folk that we are. We're not really very animated, and your spirit and just the way you articulate yourself is really, really inspiring. So, anyways, first question here is, again, I don't know a whole lot about you other than I know the exact spot where we're standing at when you came up to me at the team conference and you're like, "Hey, I know you," and I'm like, "I don't know you, but I should know you." And but yeah, why don't you walk us through your origin story here? Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into all this, and what excites you about this stuff.
so this is what I like to say is part of my career 2.0, right? Almost everybody has like multiple phases, or their careers go through these multiple phases. Mine started out like almost every bright-eyed college graduate, right? Okay, I'm gonna write software or do hardware. I'm gonna be a hardware engineer or software engineer, and that was a great career 1.0. And then the dot-com bomb happens, right? The dot bomb happens in the early 2000s, and eventually I get a job offer for a defense contractor. They need somebody who has an engineering background so that they could work as an administrator for software development tools. And at the time, that was IBM Rational. So ClearCase, ClearQuest. These were tools that I had worked on in my career 1.0. And so I jump on there, and instantly love it. Love working as an administrator or a subject matter expert. And then the evolution comes from, well, what comes after IBM Rational? And then there was this little Australian company called Atlassian. And so I started delving into what they did. And so now I am kind of in there working, the main gig for Release Team. They're a DevOps consulting firm. So I am the Atlassian practice lead, which means I'm kind of the advocate for all things Atlassian over at Release Team, talking about, being that subject matter expert for Atlassian tools and guiding our clients, if they are looking for expertise in Jira and in Confluence and in Bitbucket. So it's been fun. And then along the way, I also got interested in process, because on some of these tools, ClearQuest or Rational Team Concert or Jira, they implement a process. And so got my Scrum Master, and then eventually got onto Scaled Agile framework, SAFe. And so I've been kind of playing that to the point where I actually wrote a book kind of intersecting the Scaled Agile framework with DevOps. So I think
You'll have to provide me a link or something so we can put it in the description.
I will also show this live and in person. The book is called SAFe for DevOps Practitioners, and I will provide the Amazon link. It is available on Amazon. It is published by Pact Publishing. So really, it was one of those really big projects I had worked on last year. And then when it got released at the end of last year, I was breathing a sigh of relief. So,
well, now I'm gonna definitely title it "World-Renowned Author Interviewed by Ape Tech."
I don't know about world-renowned. I mean, maybe renowned author.
We'll make sure we put you on every continent.
Oh, okay, absolutely. Thank you.
That's the power of being on this channel.
Yeah, yes, that's the thing about YouTube influencers, aren't they?
Right. Yeah, no, we definitely have a little bit of reach on all corners of the world. But I'm really excited to hear your background. So so I've been doing this series for quite some time now. By the time this goes out, I've already probably interviewed like 10 people. And you're like the third, maybe fourth person that is ClearCase, ClearQuest legacy. I haven't heard RTC in a very long time. It's been a while.
I don't have anything bad to say about RTC, except that I think IBM at the time just put too many of their tooling personas in one basket. It was, what is it? It's a floor wax. No, it's a dessert topping type of thing.
It was anything you wanted it to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I worked at a defense contractor as well. That team that I landed in was doing ClearCase, ClearQuest, and RTC. And then I got put on the TFS side of the house for Team Foundation Server. And so I fell in love with that, and I actually fought tooth and nail. The moment that I saw Jira, I was like, I want to go back to TFS. It didn't make sense to leave your IDE to go to the web. Like everything was inside where I'm writing my code, and I'm like, why do I need to leave? But now, but yeah, I cannot believe it. We definitely share a lot of common here, with our paths to where we got. What is your favorite Atlassian memory?
Ooh.
Huh. We go deep here on these interviews.
Yeah, you do go deep here. I can't. I think it was. There have been a lot of memories kind of recently. Release Team is not the first Atlassian partner I've worked for. I've also worked for ISO's Technology in the past, and I think my first meeting with those ISOs guys was actually at a. Back then it was called the Atlassian User Groups, or the OGs.
I'm glad they changed that name.
Now it's the ACEs. Now the ACEs, the
Yeah,
Atlassian
Aiden sounds
Community
a little bit
Event or
better.
the Atlassian Certified Expert, whatever you want on that one, right? But in the OGs or Atlassian Community Events, I first met up with the ISOs people and was talking with them. They seemed like a great bunch of people, and they also had on there Rachel Wright, so who's written kind of the book or like one of the books on having a clean Jira a clean Jira platform, kind of on administration. So it was fun talking to her. It was fun talking to the ISOs people.
I'm gonna have to
At the
go
OG.
and when I very first started a year and a half ago, I do remember Rachel tweeting or something like at the very, very beginning. But it's been like radio silence with her. I haven't spoken to her in like over a year. Might be time I reach out, see if she's interested in coming on.
Yeah.
She's
It's so I have her book, and I kind of bring it with me every team, just kind of on the off chance that maybe
she's
she
there to
shows
sign it.
up, she's there,
No,
signs it.
well, I'm gonna have to buy one of your books then, because if I see you next year, I'm gonna need that signature too.
Absolutely.
Because I heard you were giving away or signing some books
We
at this week.
were doing a book signing during Team 2023. We had it at the at a kind of the at a suite, which was actually over in the other hotel. So it was kind of a ways away from the
Convention.
convention. So I don't know if people were willing to just kind of drop out and
Dude, I had the hardest time finding John Kern on the third floor of where we were at. I asked. I remember. I don't know if you remember seeing, but there were some individuals with like Atlassian shirts to kind of guide you in the
Oh,
halls and
sure.
stuff.
Yep.
I would go up to him and I'm like, "Do you know where the third floor is at?" And he's like, "Third floor? There's no third floor." And then I walk like 20 steps. I'm like, "What is this escalator that goes up there?" You're like, "You're trained to help us where we're supposed to go, and you don't even know that there's an escalator not even 20 feet from you." I should just kept on walking, and I would have had to ask him. But
There you go.
yeah, but I did. Yeah, even finding him and kind of discovering that there was a whole new world on the third floor was interesting, and let alone venturing over to another, like almost another building.
Yep.
Cool. So why Atlassian? Like you kind of mentioned, like that you used it, right? But did you consider any other tools? Did you consider like anything else, or like what kind of drew you and said this is what I'm gonna become that subject matter expert on?
I think it was at the time the realization that any sort of influence that IBM and Rational had at the time was fading, and what was taking up the slack was Atlassian, was Jira, and this world of Git based tools, because also there was GitHub coming up, and then eventually GitLab. But Atlassian seemed to kind of have the whole package together. They were looking at project management in using agile methodologies. They were big on Scrum, so it was one of those things where it seemed the next logical leap.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm curious to always just find out what like people how they did the discoveries, what analysis they did, because I was exposed to all kinds of tools as well, and it's like how and why did I pick this specific tool? And then we always talk about like in your experience and just kind of what you see around the world, do you see other tools have this level of community and impact, or just a group of people that just want to help each other like we do here with Atlassian?
I actually saw some of that in the IBM Rational days. There was definitely a community there. I was a member of the Phoenix Rational User Group, RUG, so a little bit
You just
a little bit
you just
easy.
find all the groups with all the coolest names.
Yeah, exactly. And those were fun times, and the OG had a similar spirit. The Atlassian community has a really, really friendly atmosphere, and it's interesting these days because I'm a player as a community leader on the online community. So I most of my involvement is actually online. These are people that I see. Oh, I know this person. I see them. I see them post every day, or they're really helpful with the responses. And then you go to team, and then the possibility of meeting them in person just really kind of blows me
Brings it
away.
all home. Yeah, because
Yep.
that was my favorite part. I had never been to a team conference. I'd never been to an Atlassian one, and kind of just building this YouTube stuff over the last year. And then all of a sudden, I was like, I know you, I know you, I know you. It was like the greatest feeling in the world to just. And then also, I don't leave my house very much, so
Yeah.
being able to see people and I'm like, you are real. It's not just. And then also seeing the height of people. I think that was Andy
Yeah.
and Chris. I was like, wow, you guys are tall.
Yeah, it is kind of funny when you kind of size yourself up, meeting face to face. It's like, oh, that's
That's
what you look like,
like
from
not from the shoulder.
here down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really, really cool. I do want to set some time here because I do have some questions now, like on your book stuff, because
Okay.
I hadn't thought about it because I just been asking everybody the same 10 questions. So I'm gonna keep going with the questions, but I'm at the end, I'm a little curious about a couple of things that I think are relevant that'll help people in this space. So I'll turn my last question here. But
Sure.
biggest lesson that you've learned so far in this since you started out here?
Oh,
To my defense, I probably should have given these to you.
yeah, yeah.
Few
You
people
know,
ask for them. But this it's the just seeing your initial reaction is priceless too.
yeah. The biggest lesson I would say is sometimes you're not the expert of everything. Sometimes you're going to have to go out and ask for help, and by all means ask for help, because it's one of the few ways that you really learn, and how those lessons kind of stick with you, and then also a way for you to kind of pay it forward, because
So
sooner or later somebody's going to come and ask for your help.
yeah, no, ain't that the truth? So then I changed my mind then, right? So I'm gonna go peel in or dive a little bit deeper then, right? So writing a book is a very, very not only is it just a huge process in itself, right? But when we're talking about expertise, right?
Mhm.
How did you like have to overcome any challenges or fears when you were thinking about writing the book?
I will tell you that imposter syndrome is really, it really kind of sets in on every chapter that I had to do. The writing process was, at least with Pact, was, I gave them an initial outline, and then they took that outline and cut up the chapters, and every few weeks a chapter was due. So I had to keep on that schedule. And as soon as a new chapter opens, then kind of those ghosts from imposter syndrome come about. And but there's nothing. The time is ticking. You thought you were finished up on the research. You've barely scratched the surface. You need to kind of go in and continue doing the research and double check and triple check, and then you have what you've written.
Now, because Steve Jobs says that it's always easier to connect the dots looking backwards, right? Now that you've
Mhm.
written the book, you published it, how do you feel about your imposter syndrome and how do you feel about like your expertise in that domain?
I feel a little bit more comfortable. I think I've kind of, at the end of the day, it's like you've got something tangible. It's like, I did this. And so I feel a little more comfortable. Um, there's always more to learn, of course. So, but I think by working that same process, you can still kind of keep that imposter syndrome at bay. Because you've
Yeah,
already done it, so
right, right.
it's a little more comfortable.
So, but then I guess from the motivation, like why that specific topic? Like, do you just seem to always have a lot of experience in that domain and you're like, this is what I want to hone in on? Or is it just something that you just had a big opinion on? Or is it something you wanted to improve your skills in?
I think I think the answer is going to be a little bit of all
Of everything?
a little bit of everything. It was actually something that I was really passionate about. So there was actually combinations of two passions. I was a huge advocate of DevOps, and then there's something where I actually see where safe can fit in certain situations, and so just kind of merging those two allowed me to kind of say, you know what, I could probably write a book on this.
Yeah.
So the people at PACT asked me, and I accepted. And
That's really, really cool. I think that's such a great area too, because I think Agile in itself, right? Not even going into full safe, but just Agile as an entity, it's really great on the people and the process side of the house. But then you're like, what do we do with testing? What do
yeah,
we do with deployments? And like, what's in between a release and a deployment, right? And so it leaves a lot of gray areas. And so I think it's really cool that you kind of came in here like, here's an area that I think I can add a little bit of value to.
and this is something where if you look at DevOps, it almost seems like it's the next frontier, right? You developed your stuff. It's met the definition of done. Now what? Well, we have to give it to the operations people. But if the operations people are risk averse, then it's no better than if you had 3 months to develop something
Yeah.
and bundle together changes. You're still at the same spot, and it's just a matter of kind of extending that agility to further along
In that life cycle.
in that life cycle.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no, I definitely empathize, right? Because again, my career being in defense, like yours at the beginning, like when I worked in my defense contractor, planes can't fall out of the sky, right? That's not an option.
Right.
And so you're in this agile mode of doing your software development, but you would hit like the biggest road wall the moment you had to like certify and verify your code
Yep.
because that aircraft cannot fall out of the sky,
Right.
and it doesn't take a sprint to verify. And so yeah, so I'm now very more interested in wanting to read your book to kind of see, because I that was one of the reasons why I left that life. It was just like it was just my internal frustration. I'm like, you want to be agile, but yet we still got to save lives, and like they don't both coincide.
I I think that the mindset is changing on that. I think that there is a place where you can have both the agility and then the governance.
I would I would love to pick your brain on your thoughts and on in incorporating hardware, because developing like a Netflix is trivial in my opinion, right? Obviously very very hard, but when you have to incorporate hardware, right? When you got robots that could potentially hurt somebody, kill somebody, like you you kind of have to think things through a little bit more.
So there's a great story, and I only know part of the story just off the top of my head, but I will tell you that in the race for human powered flight, there was a person that was expected to be that person to to fly under his own power, right, through the aid of designing a machine to do that.
Are we talking Wright brothers time frame?
Actually, we are.
Okay, just level
It
setting 100
was
years back.
Yeah, this is more than 100 years back. It was, and this person had a plan where they went from kind of soup to nuts on the requirements, and then the design, and then what the history books remember were these two brothers out of Dayton, Ohio, that ran a bicycle shop. They weren't like the professional guys. What they
Mhm.
did was they iteratively experimented till one day they had something that they could take to a heavily a windy area, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, and they did the first human
Then
powered
they were in
flight,
our history books.
and they're in our history books.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to
You'll have to
give
share
you
the
the
rest of the
link.
story on LinkedIn.
I'll
Yeah.
share the rest of the story on LinkedIn. But um, long before the Agile Manifesto, long before way even longer before software was invented. People have been looking at kind of this iterative short cycle of development, and they've been making great strides, just like these two brothers out of Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, I definitely think these are going to be topics for future episodes. I want to go deeper on this because most of the companies that I've worked with in the past, when they hear agile, right, they're just like, let's just cut the corners, right? Let's just get what needs to get out done because we're really bad at planning. So, definitely got some opinions and observations that I would love to pick your brain on. We all know that Jira's dashboards are a little lackluster. Wouldn't it be cool if you could significantly make your metrics and reports better? With custom charts for Jira, you can transform your raw data into stunning charts and graphs that make an impact. No more settling for the default Jira reports or spending hours manually manipulating data in a spreadsheet. Go show our friends at Old Street Solutions the power of the internet and show them your support and start a free trial to custom charts for Jira today. We are down to the last few minutes, so I definitely got to power through the rest of these questions.
Okay.
If you can change one thing about like Jira or any Atlassian product, what would it be?
Ooh. Huh.
What makes Bob tick when he's in Jira?
What makes Bob tick when he's in Jira? I think that
we can do comeback.
Yeah, I don't have any like really big pet peeves on that right now.
You just deal with it.
I just kind of deal. I think part of it's the engineer in me. I see.
Are you at the data center version or cloud versions of Jira?
That would be a big fat yes.
No, to which one? To both?
Well, we have clients that are on
both premise. Okay.
Right. Some clients are on the on-prem. Some clients are on the cloud. Some clients are on the server, and we keep telling them, hey, you should be thinking about migrating to cloud. So.
Right. No, well, I asked because like I think when you're like on a server data version, right, like the number of features you get is a lot less because in the cloud, like, man, every once in a while I'll just jump in. I'm like, why did you just change something that worked so well?
Well, I think, and I think that is the hard part of what Atlassian has to deal with. It's actually gotten to the point where the code bases are separate.
Right. And I've heard that many times.
Yeah, and so they obligingly have to stay with the on-prem code base because there's just so much there. Yeah, too much. Well, too many well-paying customers, especially for data center subscriptions. But they know that the future is on cloud. Then they're not wrong on that. I mean, I think if you look at who Atlassian's competition is for Jira, it's all cloud-based, right? Monday, Asana, these guys that are kind of coming up out of the woodwork. They're all cloud-based because it's so easy to kind of get something out there, and get revenue.
But then you got to think that the people that made Jira and love Jira are the people that are coming in from the server world because of what you could used to do.
Yeah, you do, but then I think how many of those, it's
how many remain?
It's how many of those remain. And I think they got there because at the time getting into Jira was nothing. It was $10.
It is $10 perpetuity.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was fantastically easy to set that up. These days, with setting up your own cloud or AWS or setting up a Kubernetes cluster, that's gonna take some doing and take some serious hardware.
Right.
If you have it.
Absolutely. So I know we're basically right. Do you have a couple more minutes or should
absolutely?
Okay. Sure. Well, I got 3 more and then we'll probably go like 5 over, right? So I like to ask this one of Jira admins, because I like to tell people that like I can look at any Jira in the world and I can say this was an Alex Jira. Like I wasn't here. And so what unique way that you administer or use Jira do you think that you put your fingerprints inside of this? Like how can you look at any Jira in the world and go, this is Bob's Jira here? Is there anything that you do that comes off the top of mind?
I think I like to make sure my workflows are clean. So, just a nice, clean workflow, not too many frills with it. That's, I
You've
don't know.
inspired me to talk to Ronnie to start soliciting. Submit your perfect workflow series for the Jira Life, because I would love to compare. Because what does a clean workflow mean? Like that's another hour-long discussion. Because I have my ways, and I'm sure everybody has their
Well,
ways
I
of a
mean,
clean workflow.
some people would say simplified workflow is the best. And you and I coming from defense contractor land, it's like, no, you must follow step A to step B to step C, and
And D,
sometimes
E, F, G, and H, and
yeah,
H, A, and
exactly.
L.
So
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that's great. That yeah. My thing is not so much with the workflows, but the way that I implement the workflows, like onto the issue types and stuff like that. Like I try to keep like 1-to-1 whenever, and
yeah,
like the default configuration schemes, because so many of teams that I work with, like they're just gonna want to tailor everything, and like I'm like, if I set it up right at the beginning, then I can enable you to customize whatever you want without me having to go back and do these massive headaches later.
yeah.
So, what excites you the most about the Atlassian, of the future of Atlassian?
I think that I really am excited about the future of cloud. I really think that um, cloud gives Atlassian no limits to see what they can do, and I think they're already doing that by taking a look at other parts of how people make stuff, right? And now we're starting to see things like Atlas and Jira Product Discovery, right? Things that I wouldn't have even thought of 5 or 10 years ago.
So, let me ask you this then: do you feel so? I the teams that I work with, they're a lot of teams try to do agile, right? They're trying to go into some sort of a digital transformation, agile transformation. Safe being probably one of the bigger heavy hitters, right?
Right.
And Jira, at least for non-safe, in my opinion, right, is great for these agile teams, because the moment you go safe, I always tell people Jira kind of starts to stumble a little bit. It's not really going to help you with your PIs and stuff like that, right? But still a great agile tool nonetheless. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I feel from what I see everything in Atlassian that they care less about agile, more just about teamwork. How do you see that, given your background and like your processes, right? Where do we draw the lines in like just serendipity, asynchronous teamwork versus like the rigor of agile?
I
Or am
think
I just pulling things out of the thin air here?
I think you have to separate the idea of what the things that can make a great team versus whether or not that team has to be agile. I think there's actually a clear distinction. You can have a fantastic team, using and actually this is I will tell you flat out, my favorite Atlassian product, they give it away for free. It's the team playbook. It and that is kind of the owner's manual to making a great team. And I'm actually using it where I work because not everything that I do as part of being a consultant is agile. There's some things where waterfall works okay. And it's okay to be on waterfall as long as you have a great team. I think there are spots where agile works, there are spots where waterfall works, but I think at the end of the day, what really matters is having a great team.
What would you say helps contribute to having a great team?
I I think having that communication, I think having an understanding of the roles and responsibilities that each member of the team is going to contribute, an understanding of what the expectations are. And again, this is something that is beyond whether or not you're doing this in a waterfall or if you're doing this on agile.
Yeah, because you're basically describing the five dysfunctions of a team here. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
'cause I
Another
feel
book
like,
I have on my shelf.
yeah, I always feel like the retrospective to me is like the most important meeting or ceremony out of them all because it's where you can like be vulnerable and like really figure out go team like what the heck, man. Like where did we mess up and how do we like make each other better, how do we help each other, how do we like build trust in each other, and how do we like not turn this to be like a blame game but rather like I always forget how to refine this video, but the Blue Angels after every single mission they go back and like they challenge themselves of like minute by minute or second by second, frame by frame, like because if one of them makes a mistake, they could all
Yeah.
die,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Oh,
So I
yeah.
would feel like I think if we learn more from how the Blue Angels ran stuff, so which then goes back to the paradox. I'm like, how do we like kind of not so much agile, but like how do we just build people that work together well,
Yeah.
and how do we build a process around that?
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Bruce Tuckman and that model that he put together of forming, storming, norming, performing.
Oh my,
So those phases are really important because people who have been part of these great teams, they know it doesn't happen overnight.
right.
And yes, there is going to be there are going to be those difficult moments where you're just going to go. "Rrr."
It's tough,
So
especially when
yeah,
also when you have like offshore teams or teams that just don't have a vested interest, right? Because you have to like almost go to fight for each other.
yeah,
You have to trust that the other person's got your back. It's almost like a Navy SEALs team, right? Like you got to have that level of just trust and just performance as opposed to just like people that come together to earn a paycheck.
yep, absolutely.
So, last question here. What secret do you have for folks wanting to like jump into this world of Atlassian or get better at this skill set? I get a lot of people that are just like they just got a job or they're trying to transition, especially in this down economy, and they're like, we hear Jira, we hear Agile, like, but how do we get started? What tips or tricks do you have for like accelerating your growth and learning here?
I
Other
I
than writing a book, obviously.
so I'm going to answer it with the old joke. How do you get to Carnegie Hall?
Never
Practice,
heard of that one.
practice.
Enlighten
Oh,
me.
you never heard that one? Guy in a violin. He's on the street in New York. He's like, hey, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? And they look at him and they say, practice, practice, practice. Right. So it's along those same lines. There's got to be practice. I think there's plenty of material out there, including the Ape Tech tutorials of which I devour voraciously. But I also and these days, the barrier to entry for practicing is really low. It used to be $10. Now it's free from Atlassian. So you can practice for most of the things that you learn
Yeah, I think the
off of
only
your
thing you can't do
tutorials.
well is put the permissions. I think it's the only
Right.
thing that you don't get on the free version. But almost everything else you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still do the roles, you can still do the permission scheme itself. You just can't associate a person to like a role.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
other than that, like you can do everything. It's other than that one step.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no,
Absolutely.
that's really, really good. I really do appreciate this talk with you here. And in true, I love watching Hot Ones. So this camera, this camera, this camera. Where can people find you? Where are you at online? And where can people support you?
Online, you'll find me on in the Atlassian community. I'll be posting answers there regularly. I also post answers to the Scaled Agile Framework community if you're on there as well. My LinkedIn is Robert Wen. So
We'll have
look
links
for
for everything in the description.
yeah, yep, and that's about. I mean, I
And
also have a
then,
Twitter, but I don't do much on it. So
and most importantly,
oh, most importantly, yes, if you are interested, if you are so inclined, safe for DevOps practitioners. Available on Amazon or wherever books are sold. And this is by Robert Wen through Pact Publishing.
well, Robert, thank you very much. I definitely got to say this is the most celebrity episode I had because not only was I in presence of royalty, but also again that renowned author. So thank you so much for taking time out of your super busy day. I really, really appreciate it. And that was Bob. I really do hope you enjoyed that interview, and I hope you learned a thing or two about Bob. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Bob is just a wealth of information, and a special thanks to Bob for coming on to this interview and also for probably being one of the biggest supporters of our new venture, the Jira Life. Link in the description down below. Make sure you go and subscribe. But Bob is literally the leader of our peanut gallery. And so if you're not aware of what the peanut gallery is, highly recommend you check out the Jira Life. We are live streaming every single Thursday, and so you are not going to want to miss out and be a part of this amazing brand new Atlassian community that we're building. Take control of your data. Custom Charts for Jira offers an extensive range of chart types and customization options, whether it's a bar chart, pie chart, or line chart, or pretty much a bunch of other different types of charts that they have. Create stunning visuals that represent your data in Jira accurately, tailored specifically to your specific needs. Head on over to the Atlassian Marketplace and show Old Street Solutions the power of the internet and start a free trial of Custom Charts for Jira today. Again, thank you very much to everybody that watched. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you drop a like, and if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the comment section down below. And finally, don't forget to buy Bob's book. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need